This is a mathematical and statistical fact. This is no hype. Everyone in the United States of America can own a home. The majority of Americans are renting. There are processes out there where you can place your great rental credit on your credit. There's no mathematical way that you can't achieve a 620 to a 650 score to be able to qualify for your home. Okay. So you imagine you taking somebody whose grandmother lived in a rent house, whose grandmother lived in a rent house, whose grandmother cleaned houses and rent houses or in the Jim Crow, whatever, and all they knew was get an apartment and get on Section 8 or whatever.
We've got Charles Hopgood in the building today. Charles, welcome.
Hey, I was doing. It's great to be here. Great to be here.
So here's how we start off every show. You know the name of the WAIL podcast. It means why am I listening? So the first question I'm going to ask to you is, why are we listening to you about this?
That's a great question, Robin.
I know.
First off, I'm very, very appreciative of being here. Why listen to me? Okay, so I have 24 years experience in credit and lending. I used to be in the car business. I was a finance director in a dealership.
Which is how we met.
Yes, which is how actually we didn't. Actually, this is how we met. Remember, what's his name? Loser guy.
Wow, cut that part out of that, please.
I don't remember.
I forgot the guy. Well, anyway, we met in the office because I just started this business.
Okay.
And then we met. The one thing about the Rob I appreciate was Rob is real tenacious about what he does. So we were both our alpha males, and we used to bump heads a lot. And then when he realized that we both thought the same way, we became really good friends. So I was in the car business, being a director at a dealership, and just one day I'd had some issues with some credit because I was going through a divorce. And my mentor, the guy that taught me what I know as far as credit restoration, had come to me one day and he says, "Hey, what do you think about doing this? You know a lot about credit. You could really do this." And I was like, I don't know, because being fearful of the unknown, and all I knew was the car business. So one day the GM that I had just kind of peed me out that day, and I just decided I was done. So the only way that I knew how to make myself do this and be successful was to tack on some bills. So I went and bought me a new Mercedes, and
You got some debt motivation.
Yeah,
I got some debt motivation. Had about $22.83 to my name. I was going through a divorce. My ex-wife wasn't paying my bills. I was making good money at the dealership. I was just signing the back of my checks and giving to her, and she wasn't paying my bills. I found out my son wasn't biologically my son. He was a year old. I still try to fight for joint custody, but in the state of Oklahoma, if he's less than 2 years old, you can't be the father. So I started this business in a place of distress. But I made a good life out of it. So I just woke up one day and I said, you know what? I don't want the car business anymore. I want to try to revamp my life. So then I started this business. It started off as Show and Prove, because that was my name in college, because I used to be real skinny, but I was the first one to fight. So I was Show and Prove. So then I changed it to Infinity Financial Consultants. I just started. My mentor taught me one bureau, and then I just engulfed myself into this, and just learned every bureau, learned the algorithms of what bank pulls what credit, how they change the FICO scoring systems to benefit the banking system. And I just stared doing it.
When did you start?
10 years ago, 10 years and 2 months.
So that in itself is an asterisk on your resume for me, is time doing it, because anybody can start. And that's something that I do want to get into, because we've talked about this, is
right.
When you first started doing this, and we started seeing all these results that you were getting outside of the kind of crackerjack online people, right? So you can go online even 10 years ago and try and get some things done, but all you were really getting was money taken on a monthly basis. Maybe some hopes and dreams and promises, but nothing. The results weren't there. But it was built, and I know this is a point you like to make, I'm going to steal it though, is that those businesses, and even still now, they are designed to kind of manipulate you with to
make money. They're absolutely designed to make money. Absolutely. Something
that could probably be done in maybe a 3-month period, or in sometimes much shorter, but like if realistic, let's call it a 3-month or less period. they can drag out 12 to 24 months.
Correct.
So yeah, it might be $69 a month.
Correct.
But
Plus the down payment.
Yeah.
Plus the down payment. But the biggest commodity and the asset that a lot of us have, and we squander it so much, is the time.
Mm-hmm.
You have customers that are so ready to go. I need to get my mortgage. I got to go now.
Yes,
Like that
every
deal
single
from
one that I've
HE
ever
double
dealt
hockey
with.
sticks that you and
That's
I
right.
did.
Yeah.
Those affluent, but yeah. So a lot of people don't realize the time, and every one of those companies can do it in a manner of 60 to 90 days. But they drag you out on the time to get the payments because the average consumer is used to making payments. Have you ever been driving home and then you look up in your home and you don't remember anything from the other side, one side of the road, the other side of the road?
Yes.
More often than I would like to admit, because then I'm like,
Yes.
how the heck did I get here?
That's
I'm
scary.
literally driving down here on the highway. I don't remember passing the casino on the right.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
big casino.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
even remember
Windstar or
seeing
whatever,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or the Ford store on the right that's coming
Sure.
in Nepal. I don't remember seeing any of it.
Yeah.
But we're trained. The mind is trained. So if you give us an aspect or you give us a task, and we know we're so used to being a piker, if you will,
Sure.
we'll do it. We'll just pay the payment, keep it going. And we're not even thinking that it's costing us more money. And our biggest commodity, which is the time. So,
And for real estate, which is our audience, our real estate people, when we have credit issues come up, you're right. Time is the big question on
there's
everybody.
no games. There's no games. So what cuts a lot of that time is a dedicated person, such as
Sure.
like you. We're real dedicated. Like when Rob and I would take a deal, we'd sit there and we'd talk about it. He'd give me the monitoring account. I'd look at it and I said, well, based upon what I see, it's going to do like this. One thing that we would never do is to guarantee results, because that is totally against the law. But because of our expertise and what we've done so long, we've looked at it so long, him and I can look at a bureau and see the inconsistencies and the things on the bureau that you can challenge within the letter of the law to relieve the customer some stress of, it's not verifiable, and be able to remove it.
Let's dog ear what you just said, because it's important. Because when people are taking clients, so like Liz and I, when we have clients that come to us and they aren't in the best credit shape, we have to send them somewhere. Now, a lot of people that listen to us, realtors, mortgage, all of the above, is who do we send it to? How do we know to trust where we're sending them? Because if you refer people, it's your name. You want to make sure you're sending it to the right place. So if somebody is out there guaranteeing results,
they're not
in this state, it's illegal to guarantee those.
It's illegal nationally.
So it's illegal nationally to guarantee. Now you can give a money back guarantee and say, if we don't give you what you want, and I'm sure there's some.
Or if we don't restore you in a manner that's satisfactory. Like my contract reads that this contract is go for 90 days or until we get you where you need to be at, whichever comes first. I do that because I'm real meticulous. If I don't get a person where I think they should be, I'll literally wait. I'll go through the 90 days, wait 60 days, and then start them up again. I've rarely had to do that because I've usually gotten people done within that time frame to get them where they can be at so they can qualify. And
when
move
you
on
say
to the next
getting them
step.
done, that means getting them to the
qualification
that we
stages.
need to,
Absolutely.
at least the minimum, and if not a little bit higher, because it's
Right.
not just for everybody.
Right.
There's people that can have a qualifying score, but that doesn't necessarily mean that gets them their best deal.
Right.
You know what I mean? We need to get that up from maybe you're 620 and you're in the door, but maybe it's 720 to get you the best deal. So it's not just for everybody. Just the low stuff.
Well, Rob, you're being very modest because you don't even like somebody just to be a 620. You want to, because of customers, the average customer score is going to drop anywhere from 15 to 25, 30 points. So he stresses really about trying to get them the best deal. Better than 620. Nobody wants to be just getting in the door.
Right.
That's not satisfactory to myself, and I know it's not satisfactory to Rob.
No.
So what I try to do is not only are we doing the credit challenges, you have to kind of meet people where they're at.
Right.
The majority of Americans are renting. There are processes out there where you can place your great rental credit on your credit, and it'll backdate from the day that you moved in up to 24 months.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which will give you not only the stability, whereas the bank will look at it that you are capable of making a payment. It also gives you points and puts you in a great place to try to move yourself forward. So we stress on that. That's part of the consultation. I'll say, hey, have you paid your rent on time? How long have you lived there? And a lot of times people move around. So they've gotten 3 rental places where they've lived. I put all 3 of them on there.
Sure.
So now you have 3 positive trade lines, and you're not piggybacking off somebody's credit card, which is an inflated score that he can't use anyway.
Right.
So now that you've got these 3 trade lines, which is this rental, then there's another deal with Experian Boost. You've seen the commercial.
Yes.
It absolutely works.
Yep.
The majority of people, especially because of COVID, have Hulu, they have Netflix.
Right.
Those 2 things will pop up and they will populate on your credit. Myself, I have Hulu, I have Netflix, I have my electric, I have my gas bill, and I have my AT&T bill. So I have 5
These
boosts.
are the self-reporting is what you're talking about. Yeah.
So they report to Experian, but your rental the companies that we use for the rental reports to TransUnion and Equifax. So now if you're working, you're doing the credit restoration,
Right.
and then you take the second part of it and you put in this positive credit, all 3 bureaus are being worked simultaneously for you to achieve the middle score that you need to be able to purchase.
So a lot of people are selling. I mean, you're making on-time payments. These are things. That's what your credit score really isn't about. Wouldn't you say that? I mean, it's
an algorithm of payment.
It's like I call it it's like your what do you call it? Like your report card. Basically.
What's really cool
Absolutely.
though
You got
about
an A or B and paying on time.
what's really cool about what you're talking about though is those things are on your credit report, but we don't count them against you
That's exactly right.
for
I was
your
hoping you'd
mortgage,
say
for
that.
your debt to income.
Right.
So that's nice because we don't count it against anyone else, so we don't count it against
Right,
you,
but
even though it's on your credit report.
Right, but when you place it on there, it gives you the points.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's the best of both worlds.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've gotten so many people qualified for big homes for that.
Yeah.
Like I said, you got to meet people where they're at. The majority of people are renting. You know, let's say you get a college kid that's got 2 credit cards and they're trying to buy a house and they've gotten their first job and they've got a letter of approval, a letter of employment that says it's going to pay them $240,000 a year. That's a great income.
Whoa. What major was that kid?
Yeah, right. I want to do
I'm
it.
trying to do
I want
that
to start
job.
there.
My cousin, he went to work for Lockheed Martin. That was his first salary, $225,
Right. Sign me up for
fresh
that.
out of college.
Yeah.
He makes ridiculous
But keep
money
going.
now.
I'm sorry.
But you
Yeah.
do that, and he puts his rent on there. He had to pay rent for his college dorm. You can put that on there, and then we do another account called Kickoff. It's KIKOFF. It's a company. It does a 12-month payment of $2 a month. Now you're saying, Charles, what is that going to do? $2 a month is not anything.
Charles, what's that going to do, man? That's going to
Yeah,
Exactly.
Tell us.
The simplicity, credit is complicated, but it's simplistic. Your mother would give you a attaboy if you came home on time. Simplistic rules of life, right?
Sure.
You make that $2 payment and you make it for 20 months or 12 months, it gives you a pay history of 12 months, which is we can give you big scores. It'll boost your score a lot.
Yeah.
And it's only $2.
Yeah.
But it's just a constant payment.
Yeah. And that's what people don't understand is it's not that difficult. Like you
Right.
don't have to go out and get a new car or I don't know, something
Or go hire
crazy.
who we're talking about is these crazy people online that are saying,
These
hey,
trade
for
lines,
X
let me
amount of
put you on my American
Oh,
Express.
yes.
We charge you
Yeah.
50, because listen, where every bank, and I want to stress this to your listeners. Had to do
think
that
it's
for-
on.
Yeah, I know I had to do that for. That was for,
Yeah.
for
Dramatic effect.
Yeah, dramatic
I
effect.
feel
Thank
you.
you.
Well, hey,
Yes.
I would only
Listen,
imagine that you're going to be
Do
dramatic.
not, I repeat, putting yourself on your friend's credit card will not make you look good to the banks. There is an egghead that sits there that has no life. He sits in that office, and everything that I'm telling you, he knows everything that I know.
Yeah.
And he knows, oh, well, she's got on this card. Because you can't have 5 AUs and nothing on yourself. That's their credit, even though you're a
AU is an
700 authorized user.
you know.
And then you're walking around with a 760 credit with your chest out thinking you can go buy anything. You can't buy cheese on a cracker. and you can't go to a credit
sounds
union
good,
because
though.
the underwriters understand that. And
Yeah.
if it goes through him, his underwriters understand it too. Everybody knows the game. But if they see the rental, because it'll register as an individual account and it will be aged, and Kickoff will be aged. And then there's another company that you can do something similar to. It's like a secure credit card,
Right, yeah.
But what it does is you get a certain amount and then you pay the monthly payment towards that amount, but it puts that amount on your credit, and it's 100% legal, and it is backed by FDIC Bank in Austin, and the name of the website is Credit Strong.
Okay.
So if you do a Credit Strong, a Kickoff, you're doing your rent, you're doing your Experian Boost, mind you, you can report the rent twice.
Hey,
with two different companies.
we're gonna get all these links,
and then you do the credit restoration. Then there you go. There is no way, and there's no mathematical way that you can't achieve a 620 to a 650 score to be able to qualify for your home, as long as you make the money.
So whenever we have, like I said, well, the people that listen to this, there are people that are in the real estate world. They're out just trying to generate buyers, sellers, things like that. So the way that people come into their world and why this subject matters to them is when we do leads, right? The lead generation, you know about that. So we're paying good money. We're getting every lead that comes in.
Right.
And we do know that, the stats on leads, we're trying to get, like, if we can get a 5 to 10% return on leads,
that's a win.
You're killing it, right? That's awesome. But you can get them on the phone a lot of the times. A lot of the people that answer the phone are the ones that know they can't. But that's when we want to make the most out of the money we're spending on this, the Zillows and all these other things. It's not cheap. If we've got people that are credit challenged,
but this is exactly
we need to have
why.
somewhere to send them.
Right. This is exactly why it's important. And most people that are credit challenged, it's not because they don't. It's a mixture. It's some that have just hung themselves so much, so I can never get this, or I'll never get this. This is what I've succumbed to. The Wall Streets and the Rockefellers and the Bank of Americas and the Wells Fargos, they do their predictions or their prediction for their bonuses based upon the household. If I have challenged credit and I have 3 kids and I have a wife, the probability of 2 1/4 of my children having terrible credit is very high. So now they can,
it's crazy,
because of my mindset, because of the way I move.
Right.
So now they can predict their projections. And that's how they pay their bonuses and what have you. And if you are not challenged, because the most part, and this is a tragic tale that happens in the urban society, as well as anybody that's making below what American society would say a good wage. You're not educated. You think this is your life. This is what you succumb to. I'm the only person out of my siblings that has a college degree. I'm the only person. When I started my business, my greatest gift to my family was making everybody a 700 credit score.
Okay.
So
this is important.
Yeah, historically, absolutely. Historically, my siblings, my mother, my dad was self-made. He never borrowed anything. He died at 49, but he had 4 businesses. He didn't go past the 6th grade. He used to shine shoes down at the bus station downtown. Him and his brother would take turns because my grandfather left my grandmother with 6 kids. So
Charles,
my dad.
don't talk about dads, because I start to cry when we talk about dads.
Oh God.
I'm just kidding.
So my dad.
No, I'm not kidding.
My dad went to the Army, and he kept $15 of his check and sent the rest home to his mother to help feed his brothers and sisters.
That's crazy.
So when my dad got out of the Army, my grandmother saved some of the money so he can open up his own business. And we kind of got swindled out of the business, and this is a true story. You know where the Blood Institute is, 8th Street, that whole block? My dad owned that whole block when he died. And the lawyer who was over that, my mother wasn't married to my dad. My stepmother had 3 other children, so she kind of handled everything. So I remember the lawyer to this day. If any of his family listen, I don't care. I'm telling the truth. The guy's name was Warren Ricks. Warren Ricks sells the property, and I'll never forget it because I was in the 10th grade and I went to the mailbox and got it. My share was $2,386.52. Now I got 3 other brothers, so that means I didn't get a lot of money for that block.
Wow.
So, but here's where it gets ugly. So when I got in college, I was always looking for an angle or a way where if it's something I already knew I can do a paper on, quick. So I went to college, I did a paper on selling property. And I went down, I knew my dad's property. So I went and researched within 6 months before they changed that law, they sold it for $500,000.
Jeez.
Wow.
And it was somebody he knew. So you cheated 3 African-American children who lost their father at a young age. He was 49. Out of their inheritance, probably have a better life, a jump start in their life. So everything I've ever gotten in my life was hard work, research and hard work. So
Would you have it any other way?
Absolutely not. But Warren Ricks, if any of your family's listening, if you're still alive, you cheated some kids out of money.
Fair. Now listen, let's focus back on on our subject here, though. We're talking credit.
Right. Okay. Let me circle back.
Yes.
So with that being said, generational bad credit is being taught in the household, in every household, if you don't know anything about good credit, because you're living from a place of distress. So when you meet a customer who's challenged in that manner, all they know is what they know. If you give them dirty water, if they've been drinking dirty water their whole life, you give them a clean glass of water, that water is going to taste foul to them.
Okay.
So you have to grab them with information and meet them where they're at, if you will. Like I said earlier, hey, your rent, you pay your rent on time, don't you?
Yeah.
And hey, that's good. You
Yeah.
make them excited, make them feel good about the little things that they are doing that they didn't even think about, that it could help them. So now they're looking at you and they're intrigued. They're like, nobody's ever said that to me, or nobody's ever conveyed that to me, that I can use that.
You're coaching them.
Yes, absolutely. Not only are you coaching them, you're giving them back what's being robbed from them every time they pay a bill, or every time they're being told they cannot do something.
Yeah.
So when you place them in a home, and you think about it, somebody would I'm me and when my older brother just bought a house a year and a half ago, I was the only one that ever owned real estate out of my siblings.
Okay.
So you imagine you taking somebody whose grandmother lived in a rent house, whose grandmother lived in a rent house, whose grandmother's grandmother cleaned houses in rent houses or in the Jim Crow or whatever, and all they knew was get an apartment and get on Section 8 or whatever. And then you make them a homeowner with the tools that they didn't even think about could better and benefit their lives. You're going to have a metamorphosis of their thinking.
That's their aha moment.
Right. And now you're turning out to the world a better consumer, a more responsible adult. And that's where you make your bones.
So that's what I think is important. And when you were talking about where do you send people, I talk to the people all the time about, like, when we're doing lead generation, when we're working our spheres, is referral is huge.
Absolutely.
Right.
Online searches, telling your client, go Google maybe credit repair somewhere or credit restoration, something like that is not, if you want to be good, right? Some people don't care.
Yeah.
But if you want to be good, you want to actually, and listen, if we're being real about that, is if I'm paying a ton of money for Zillow leads, if I can send them somewhere, it's almost like a greenhouse for leads, where we're going to put them out there and water them and let them grow, because at some point, and you want to talk about referral-based business, imagine taking somebody like what Charles is saying, and somebody who has had no hope and had 5 no's in a row, send them to the right place and tell them, if you're in this with me, because that's one of the biggest deals, is if you're in this process with us and you're willing to do what's being told, you can own a house. It's on you.
Absolutely.
Right.
So here's your assignments. Are you going to do them? If you are, then you can get there. Now that, if we're talking referral-based business, you don't have to buy those leads anymore. If you put 5-10 people out there like that,
You're the
because
Pied
they're going to
Piper.
be telling everybody.
You're the Pied Piper. They're going to tell everyone.
There you go. That's
And
exactly right.
this is a mathematical and statistical fact. This is no hype. Everyone in the United States of America can own a home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a fact. There is homeowners assistance, saving your own money, ways and ways to the home, steps that you can take that we just put out, just simplistic steps that'll meet you where you're at, and it will give you a foundation and building blocks to be a homeowner. Don't listen to anybody else. They tell you can't do that, or that doesn't work, or you got these people selling these trade lines for thousands of dollars, and it'll give you a puffed up score, but nobody's gonna approve you because the banks know what you're doing.
It's not real.
It's not real. And then you got a lot of these people, the FESs. You see where FES got in trouble? Where they got in trouble and the government was getting them because they were taking all that money, $22 million or $23 million, a lot of money.
Sure.
And they were taking it from middle class people because, frankly, who really has bad credit? The majority of bad credit are either middle class and lower class people that are trying to, on a wing and a prayer, trying to do something. So the first step that you have to do is you really have to dump your head out with all the negativity. It's hard. Believe me, I know. And then if you're in Oklahoma, before you let somebody work on your credit or whatever, go check out the Department of Consumer Credit.
Okay.
If they're legal, they're going to be listed. Once upon a time, I held the #2 license in the Oklahoma City that they gave. The first one was Becky Estep, and I held the #2.
You're talking about a license to do credit restoration in the state of Oklahoma.
Absolutely.
Because it's needed.
Yes. And I had the #2, but I knew so many people that were doing it. Remember, we're not going to say one person's name that was, it was so many people we knew, and it was like, wow, this is crazy. And the funny thing is, I found out that I had to have a license because I didn't know. I was in business 3 weeks And I got a knock at my door from the Department of Consumer Credit. And I'm like, wow, well, you're not doing a bad job. You haven't taken anybody's money. I was doing great work.
Right.
But of course, somebody close to me did that.
Yeah.
Appreciate them. It was the best thing ever happened to me. They fined me. I had to pay a fine. I think it was like $2,500, $5,000, something like that. And I had no money. That's when I first started out. And they ain't playing. They want their money.
Yeah.
So that was an eye opener for me. But when I became licensed and bonded, it made me appreciate my craft more. And then I started delving into it more and respect what you're doing.
Right.
That's all.
So if I'm listening and I know that I've got a few people in my pipeline that I've sent somewhere else. Now I get it. I don't want it to go on about if somebody's already started your credit repair, it's hard to come in for other people. You can't go to every credit repair person in town until you get what you want. There is no silver bullet. But if I've got some people that I know need something, they need this, and they have all they qualify in every other way, which is a lot of the times we have, because things happen in life, right? So it's not always that it's a bad person, but medical events happen, divorces honestly happen, things happen.
Having children, COVID, job
You
changes
name it.
everything.
Where do we go?
The government gives you an opportunity to redo your insurance when you have life changes.
Sure.
So why wouldn't we do that? Where would you go? Well, listeners, I'm going to tell you like this. I'm in Dallas, Texas, but I work with Rob a lot. If it were me and I was sitting there trying to figure out, do I need to deal with this company? You absolutely need to, because the majority of the things that I know, he knows too. I've sat down and I've trained him. He's very affluent in the business of credit repair. Or credit restoration. I don't like to say repair, because it's restoring your life and it's restoring your faith in the economy and the things that you can do for your family. So I call it restoration. I try to give positive words so it triggers some different kind of thinking. So if it were me and I was a person that had challenged credit, I would absolutely call Rob. Rob, and he's not paying me, and this is not a soft soap thing. The one thing that I do not play with is my name. It's all I have. I'm very good at what I do, and some of the people that I help out there in the world are Grammy nominated, Grammy winners, Oscar nominated, daytime Emmys holders that I've helped and restore them. Because even as we've stressed out in most of this show, that middle class and common people have credit restoration problems, people that are affluent have the same issue. It's an epidemic that plagues everyone. But if it were me and either I'm affluent and I have a few bumps that I need to get these points so I can get this $2 million, $3 million, $5 million home, I would trust this man. Because if whatever he can't see, he's going to call me, and I know my reputation speaks for itself. I have more receipts than Walmart that says I know what I'm doing.
So what are we going to do, honestly, if I'm listening to this and I've got a few people, like I said, and I need to give them solid advice. I'm doing lead generation. I'm running across this problem. And they say, hey, listen, I'm good, but I just need that little bit of bump. What is the next step for somebody to do? What's the step for, if not the person that has the credit, but if you were dealing with like clients, leads?
What would I say when they call me?
Where are you going to send them and say, here's your
No,
next
he's saying if
step?
you were the one that was referring, what would you tell
You're a
your
realtor.
client if you were a realtor?
Yeah. You're a realtor.
What
You've
would be
got
the next
clients.
steps?
You've got leads that
So
need
if a realtor
help.
calls me and asks how they get their client ready, is that what you're asking?
No,
No,
what I'm
he's-
saying is
yeah.
let's pretend you're a realtor, okay?
Don't be too excited about
All
that.
right. They're listening.
Okay.
So, but the point being is,
What would I tell my clients?
what do I say here? What's my first step is, obviously you want to get them with a good lender and all that, but if you know that they have issues, if you're talking to them,
I got it.
What do you do with them?
Okay, folks, it says here that you make about $160,000 a year. Is that W-2? Is that provable?
Sure.
Okay, awesome. That's great income. Whatever their income is, you tell them great. And it's not that you're patronizing them. People are very prideful, and when they're talking to money, that's a very touchy subject. So if you're condescending, you have to be prideful. I mean, you have to be mindful of their pride. So you're like, that's great income. Okay, so what has plagued you on your credit? What has been challenging you? What has kept you from being a homeowner? Because I want to address that right now. Now you're asking them. You're showing empathy.
Do I do my voice level like you?
Absolutely.
I
Okay,
would.
keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, I
Keep
like
going.
that.
Absolutely, you lower it, and you'll be like, okay. So, okay, well, I've had a bankruptcy. Oh man, yeah, that's happened to me too. I know some people that's happened to. Oh yeah, and I lost a job. Okay, yeah, that bad things happen to good people. How old is your bankruptcy? And you're writing down whatever they say. You write it down, because if they see you actively working with them and you're seeing that you're giving a crap. Okay, he's writing it down. Wow. Okay, yeah. So, where's your down payment coming from? Oh, it's money we've saved. You had it in the bank for a while? How long? Oh, about 2 years. Man, that's awesome. Man, I could never save. It was hard for me to save. How'd you do that? I'm glad so now they're feeling more engaged and involved with it. Okay, so I see right here you had these medical bills and what have you. Based upon what I'm seeing right now, I believe I have somebody that can help you. I'm going to give you a number. Now listen, the same way that, if we don't get you a home, not only do you feel a certain kind of way, I failed. Say it twice. Look them in their eye all the time. People want the respect of being told something and not have smoke blown up.
Sure.
I failed. So the objective that we need to get to is get you a home. So this person right here is going to go over some things. I'm going to relay these messages to him. Now he's going to be asking you questions. Feel free to talk to him just like you're talking to me, because his main objective is to put you in a home. He has a slogan: he never wants to see you again. Now that might come off wrong. That's a hard joke. Yeah,
I get it.
But the matter is, if he sees you again, then he didn't do his job. Do you feel like you want to move forward with that?
Sure.
I would say yes to that.
But at the same time,
you convinced me.
But when you're talking to him, you're shaking your head yes. Now that might seem to some people who've made a lot of money or who haven't been in certain places of their life, that might seem condescending, like, oh, that's kind of. But here's the thing: it's not about you.
Right.
The only thing that you're concerned with, that concerns you, is the objective. The objective is to put people in homes and be kind and be legal and be respectful of where they're at. And these tools, these simplistic tools I just laid out, will get a Section 8 welfare mother off of welfare and put her in a home. If you lay these out, she will become homeowner eligible. And even people that are affluent, I put their rent on there. I had one guy that had just been renting executive places for so long, worked for Disney, makes $380,000 a year. Terrible credit, 489 credit score, 489, 475, 520 in California. Took me 4.5 months because he's hard-headed. But by the time we got him right, I got him to 692, 704, and 715, and he went through the credit union there with Disney.
I worked with that.
He went through Disney. He had his down payment, and he was able to do it. We still even had a couple of little collections on there. They let him slide with those collections because we got the major things off. But the point was, he rented from 6 places. I put all 6 of those rental histories on his credit.
Man, let me tell you something. They always say, just walk out of the room when you've heard everything you need to hear, and I've heard it all.
Yeah,
Charles,
that was awesome. Such good information.
I don't even know. I've known you for such a long time, never heard you speak about credit and everything associated with it like that, so I appreciate you being here today.
I appreciate you having me.
All right, man. Well, that's it. Next time, where can we find you?
You can find me on Facebook. My business page is Infinity Financial Consultants. It's a red, white, and blue logo. Please look for the red, white, and blue logo.
Okay.
I say that because there was a person in Frisco. Remember I told you about the guy that stole my whole name? And
yes.
Stole my name. He's doing credit restoration. He's not registered with the state. Was talking real brash. And I called him. I said, you got 2 choices. You can either change it up, or I'm calling the state. I'm registered.
What's your Instagram? What's the rest of
my Instagram,
give me all your stuff.
So listen.
Where do you want people to get a hold of you?
I want them to get a hold of me through the business page on Facebook, but this is the thing. This is the reality of what we do.
Tell me.
Everyone wants to see where you don't want to see them at. Because if they spend money with you, they want to see all aspects of your life for them to feel comfortable. It is the most uncomfortable thing. That's why I'm extremely transparent. I tell about the things in my life, and whenever you go to my social media, you won't receive anything. You'll see a lot of fashion tips. You'll see a lot of stories of when I was a kid and how I grew up, and you'll see me inspiring people and tell them the most painful things in my life of being homeless and almost being bankrupt and almost wanting to relieve myself of this world, so many things. And then they see where my life is flourishing now. There's that somebody that needs to feel that trust. So
I love that.
if you want to go to my business page and see what I do about my business, it's Infinity Financial Consultants, LLC on Facebook. If you want to see my everyday life, it's Charles L. Hopgood II on Facebook.
Instagram.
If you want to see me on IG, it's my fraternity moniker name, which is Hollywood Hop _06.
Don't act like you don't name that.
Respectfully, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Check me out.
I knew we would get that.
I always post. There's not 4 days, or well, let me be honest. There's not 3 days that are going to go by that you will not receive something positive from any of my social media. I don't use profanity on it. I'll shorten the words. I won't curse. I won't use the N-word. I won't use any of those things, because I want when somebody experience what I'm doing or whatever it is I am, that they get the true essence of who I am, so they can really read deep as to what I'm telling them.
I'm leaving inspired.
Ha.
Yes.